In the first week of July 2025, the Western Pacific's warm waters brewed a storm that would serve as a brutal reminder of the region's vulnerability to nature's capricious power. Named Danas internationally and bising by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, the system began as a modest tropical depression on July 3rd. Initially, forecasts were uncertain, with models showing a wide cone of probability. However, as it tracked slowly northwestward, Danas underwent a period of rapid intensification, its structure consolidating into a formidable typhoon. While it did not reach the super typhoon category, its trajectory posed a significant threat, charting a course that would first graze the Philippines before making a direct and devastating landfall on the island of Taiwan. Its legacy would be one of widespread disruption, infrastructural paralysis, and tragic loss of life, particularly in Taiwan, which bore the full brunt of the storm's fury. The Philippines was the first to feel the typhoon's influence. Although the core of Typhoon Danas, bising, remained offshore, its immense rain bands, enhanced by the prevailing southwest monsoon, swept across the central and northern parts of the archipelago around July 5th. The constant torrential downpour saturated the soil of the mountainous Cordillera region and the farmlands of central Luzon. In the Bicol region, which is frequently the first point of contact for Pacific typhoons, preemptive evacuations were carried out in communities living at the foot of the Mayon volcano, where heavy rains could trigger lahar, deadly mudflows of volcanic ash and debris. While Manila was spared a direct hit, the monsoon rains intensified by bising caused significant urban flooding in low-lying areas of the capital, snarling traffic, and forcing the suspension of classes in several cities. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, NDRRMC, reported several maritime incidents as strong winds and rough seas made inter-island travel perilous, leading the Coast Guard to suspend ferry services and stranding thousands of passengers in ports across the Visayas and southern Luzon. The agricultural sector suffered blows as well, with initial reports indicating damage to rice and corn crops that were nearing harvest. While the Philippines was fortunate to avoid the typhoon's destructive core, the encounter with Danas, bising, was a damaging and disruptive event that underscored how even a near miss could have significant consequences for the archipelagic nation. After its brush with the Philippines, Typhoon Danas set a direct course for Taiwan, making landfall on the southeastern coast in Taitung County during the late evening of July 6, 2025. The storm arrived as a Category 3 equivalent typhoon, unleashing sustained winds of over 185 kilometers per hour. The sound of the wind was described by residents as a continuous, deafening roar, punctuated by the sharp crack of snapping trees and the shattering of glass. The entire island was enveloped by the storm's fury, but the eastern and southern regions were the most severely impacted. The mountainous terrain of Hualien and Taitung counties became a landscape of destruction. The torrential rainfall, exceeding 800 millimeters in some areas within a 24-hour period, turned placid mountain streams into raging torrents. The water, laden with soil and debris, triggered hundreds of landslides, severing roads and isolating remote communities. The South Link Highway, a critical artery connecting the east and west coasts, was rendered impassable in several sections, buried under tons of rock and mud. The damage to infrastructure was immediate and catastrophic. High-voltage transmission towers, unable to withstand the relentless force of the wind, buckled and collapsed, plunging vast areas of the country into darkness. At the peak of the storm, Taiwan's state-run power company, Taipower, reported that over 880,000 households were without electricity. The blackout had a cascading effect, disabling communication networks, disrupting water supplies, and crippling emergency services in the hardest-hit areas. The restoration of power would become a monumental task, with repair crews facing blocked roads and hazardous conditions for days.
Thousands of people in the Philippines are evacuating their homes amid a massive storm. Forecasters are calling Super Typhoon Ragasa the strongest storm on Earth so far this year. It's packing the wind strength of a Category 5 hurricane and making its way toward Hong Kong. Now Hong Kong's airports expected to suspend all passenger flights.
The human cost of Typhoon Danas in Taiwan was severe, and its impact was felt across nearly every facet of life. The Central Emergency Operations Center confirmed a rising number of fatalities and injuries in the days following the storm, as the true scale of destruction slowly emerged. Families who had initially believed they had survived the worst were soon confronted with the devastating news of lost loved ones, injuries, and destroyed livelihoods. The causes of death were tragically varied, reflecting the many dangers unleashed by the storm. Several fatalities occurred as a result of traffic accidents on storm-slicked roads, where torrential rains made visibility poor and braking nearly impossible. Drivers navigating highways and city streets were caught in sudden torrents of water and powerful gusts of wind that toppled vehicles, forcing rescue crews to risk their own safety while attempting to reach stranded survivors. In Tainan, an elderly man tragically passed away when the widespread power outage caused his life-sustaining medical ventilator to fail. His death became a poignant reminder of how fragile lives can be when critical infrastructure collapses. In rural Chiayi County, another fatality was reported when a tree, ripped from the ground by violent winds, crashed onto a passing vehicle, crushing the driver inside. This scene, replicated in various parts of the island, highlighted the sheer unpredictability of natural disasters, where even simple daily routines such as traveling to work or checking on neighbors could suddenly turn deadly. There were also countless reports of injuries, ranging from relatively minor cuts caused by shards of flying glass and metal debris to severe trauma sustained in building collapses, falls, and accidents during emergency evacuations. Hospitals in affected regions were stretched to their limits, struggling to treat patients even as their own facilities faced power disruptions and flooding. One particularly heart-wrenching incident involved a fisherman from Yilan who went missing after he attempted to secure his boat as the typhoon approached. Despite repeated warnings, his dedication to protecting his livelihood outweighed the danger, and he was swept away by the surging waves. His story resonated deeply across Taiwan, symbolizing the sacrifices ordinary people make when their survival is tied so closely to the natural world. For many coastal residents, the sea that sustained them for generations became a violent force of destruction during Danas. The aftermath revealed countless stories of both tragic loss and remarkable survival. Families recounted clinging to rooftops as floodwaters rose, while others described the terrifying sounds of their homes being torn apart piece by piece in the dark hours of the night. The storm's agricultural impact was no less devastating. Farmers in Pingtung County awoke to find their banana plantations and fruit orchards completely flattened, representing not only the loss of a year's income but also the erasure of years of careful cultivation. Fields once lush with crops were reduced to waterlogged wastelands, their soil contaminated by saltwater intrusion. In coastal towns, the combined effect of powerful waves and storm surge left homes and businesses inundated with a thick, suffocating layer of saltwater and mud. Residents who had spent decades building small shops, seafood stalls, or family businesses returned to find everything destroyed beyond repair. The financial and emotional blow was immeasurable, leaving many uncertain about their futures. Taiwan's transportation network was also paralyzed by the storm. All domestic flights were canceled, stranding travelers at airports and cutting off vital links between cities. High-speed rail service, a backbone of daily commuting and trade, was suspended due to the threat of high winds and debris strewn across the tracks. The usually efficient highways were blocked by landslides in mountainous areas, while major ports such as Kaohsiung were closed, halting the import and export of goods. For a trade-reliant island nation, this temporary shutdown underscored how quickly natural disasters can disrupt global supply chains. The clean- The cleanup and recovery process in the days that followed was daunting, both physically and emotionally. Thousands of military personnel were deployed to assist, bringing heavy equipment to clear blocked roads, rescuing residents trapped in isolated villages, and delivering essential supplies like fresh water, rice, and medical kits. Volunteers also poured in from unaffected regions, providing food, blankets, and emotional support to those who had lost everything. Schools and community centers were converted into temporary shelters, offering refuge to families who no longer had homes. The sense of solidarity and unity during these difficult days reflected the resilience of Taiwanese society. Despite immense grief and hardship, people supported each other, showing that compassion often shines brightest during moments of collective struggle. The images broadcast from Taiwan in the wake of Typhoon Danas told a story of devastation, but also of endurance. Streets were filled with broken trees, twisted power lines, and shattered storefronts, yet behind the destruction were scenes of neighbors cooking communal meals, volunteers helping the elderly, and children carrying donated supplies with quiet determination. These images became a testament to the island's ability to withstand even the harshest trials, though the scars left behind, both physical and emotional, were undeniable. The final damage toll was estimated in the hundreds of millions of US dollars, a stark figure that only partially conveyed the immense human and social cost of the typhoon's brief but violent passage. For many families, the loss of loved ones, livelihoods, and homes could never be measured in currency. Typhoon Danas left behind not only wreckage, but also a powerful reminder of the vulnerability of island nations in the face of climate-driven storms. It underscored the urgent need for continued investment in disaster preparedness, resilient infrastructure, and community-based support systems. Yet amid the destruction, Taiwan's people demonstrated their resilience once more, a nation battered but not broken, standing together in the aftermath of a storm that left an indelible mark on its history. That's the latest on Typhoon Danas and its devastating impact on the Philippines and Taiwan. Please stay alert, stay safe, and keep those affected in your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more vital updates.